What is up, sexy beast? Bald Faggot here, and today we're going to be doing the top 5 impossible maps to get to high rounds on in Call of Duty Zombies, so let's go ahead and get this shit started. So usually my top 5s and top 10s, I try to at least include one thing from every single game, but unfortunately for this list, we can't do that. Some games don't have impossible maps. But saying that, I'm still going to put World War III Black Ops 3 in the title, because I'm a viewer and I don't have any shame whatsoever. So just because it says World War III Black Ops 3 in the title, doesn't mean a map from every single game is on there. It just means I took all those games into consideration. And real quick, I just kind of want to define what I mean by high round. In this video, we're kind of going to be defining a high round like 100 plus or anything else like that. I know you can technically consider like round 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. You can't consider all that to be a high round, but for this video, we're really going to be talking like high round 100 plus. So enough of my random rambling, let's go and get on to number 5. So taking the number 5 spot is going to be Town from Black Ops 2, which is basically like a subsection of Transit. I really don't consider Town to be like its own separate map. Like you really want to consider like the Revelation starting room to be its own map, but for some reason we give Town a pack-a-punch machine and a couple perks, and all of a sudden it's a completely different map. But if we do consider Town to be its own separate map, it is definitely a very hard one to get to high rounds in. It's not a hard one to survive in, it's just very difficult to get to high rounds because one, you're kind of lacking on perks. I mean, you do have the essentials. You got Jug, Speed, Double Tap, Quick Revive, and Stamina Up. But you really only need Jug, Speed, Stamina Up, and Double Tap. Fuck Quick Revive, you don't need that shit. And if you're playing co-op, you also do get Tombstone Soda, but going high rounds on co-op is kind of a pain in the ass. But the perks are not what makes this map very difficult to get to high rounds. It's the fact that you really don't have a wonder weapon. You don't have anything to carry you to the high rounds. You have the Ray Gun Mark II and the Ray Gun. That's about it. Eventually, the Ray Gun and Ray Gun Mark II are going to stop working, and they're just going to stop killing. And that's if you're lucky enough to even get to those high enough rounds with the ammo you actually have. More than likely, you're going to run out of ammo first, and really, the only way to get a max ammo is to put the gun back in the box and try to get it back out again, which is going to take some time. Or you always could just switch to a wall weapon, pack-a-punch it, and try to kill zombies that way, but both of those two scenarios are going to take a lot of time, and I believe like the highest round in Town is currently like in the 80s, well as far as I know, so Town is definitely a very hard map to get to high rounds in. Alright, and taking the number 4 spot is going to be Farm. Now really you can kind of switch this in Town to be either one, but I decided to put this one at number 4 because I feel like Town is kind of a more open layout and it's a little bit easier to run around in compared to Farm. Now in Farm, you only have 4 perks. You got Jug, Speed, Quick Revive, and Double Tap. You do not have Stamina Up, which kind of does suck. And similar to Town, you don't have a wonder weapon. Really, what you're going to be relying on to get to high rounds is going to be the Ray Gun Mark II, but similar to Town, eventually that Ray Gun Mark II is just going to run out, and you're really going to be stuck with absolutely nothing. And Farm, I believe, is a little bit smaller than Town, has a little bit more close corridors, it's really not as big, so your chances of dying in this are far more likely than actually dying in Town. Alright, and taking the number 3 spot is going to be Nuketown Zombies. Now, Nuketown Zombies is a pretty difficult map to get started in, and a pretty difficult map to get to high rounds in. The reason it's kind of difficult to start off in is because you kind of have to wait for Jug to come down, and sometimes it's not the first thing to come down. Sometimes it's Pack-a-Punch, sometimes it's Double Tap, sometimes it's Speed Cola. You really aren't lucky 100% of the time to get Jug right off the bat, and sometimes you do actually have to wait a pretty long time to actually get Juggernaut. And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, the only perks in Nuketown are going to be Jug, Quick Revive, Speed Cola, and Double Tap Root Beer. And similar to like 90% of the other maps on this list, the only wonder weapon you're going to be able to have is the Ray Gun Mark II and the Ray Gun, but that thing isn't really going to carry you for that long. Now, when I went to high rounds on Nuketown, my basic strategy was to run with the Ray Gun Mark II and the Executioner. Those two were my life-saving weapons. Whenever I needed a max ammo, I would switch to the Executioner because very powerful, and I would pray to God that I could get one to refill my Ray Gun Mark II. And if I couldn't, it's hoarding up all the zombies and off to the box to hopefully get the Ray Gun Mark II back again. And god damn does that take a long ass time, and I would not recommend it. These maps are very challenging and will test your patience if you want to get to high rounds. Alright, and coming in at numero dos, that's some Spanish for yo asses, is going to be Bus Depot. Now, a lot of people are probably going to bitch that this isn't number 1, but I don't really care. All these maps are kind of equally as hard to get to high rounds in, and Bus Depot is no exception. You don't have any perks, which really does suck, and that's probably like the main reason it's very difficult. You don't have any wonder weapons, and you have very few wall weapons, and there's no pack-a-punch, and there's no reason to live, so Bus Depot really doesn't have anything going for it, and I'm surprised that people have gotten to the rounds that they actually have gotten to on this map. I believe like the current record is like 81 or something like that. That's pretty damn impressive, and I gotta give it to that guy. Props to you. Because God knows I do not have the time nor the patience to go to round 81 on fucking Bus Depot. That has got to be a real pain in the ass. or pain in the butt. Sorry, I gotta be YouTube friendly. We don't want to get this video demonetized. But really, there isn't much to say about Bus Depot that I haven't already said about Town, Farm, and Nuketown. I don't know why Treyarch was really trying to make Black Ops 2 difficult as all hell for some of these maps, but they sure achieved it. Alright, and taking the number 1 spot is going to be Call of the Dead. Now, the argument can be made that Call of the Dead is easier than all these other maps, but a lot of people might not know that Call of the Dead is kind of difficult, so I decided to put it at number 1 for the kind of shocking effect. Now, Call of the Dead is a very hard map to get to high rounds in, but not necessarily to play. You can actually play this map to like round 30, and it's very, very simple. Very, very easy to get to mid-range rounds. You have tons of perks. You got Jug, Quick Revive, Speed, Double Tap, BHD Flopper, Stamina Up, fucking Deadshot Daiquiri, and Mule Kick. So you have a wide variety of perks. You got 2 wonder weapons, the Scavenger and the VR11. If you're playing with 2 people, that VR11 is amazing. But if you're playing solo, VR11 is kind of pointless for high rounds, and really the only thing that's going to work is the Scavenger and the Matryoshkas, and technically the Wonder Waff if you've done the Easter egg and you kill George. But the reason Call of the Dead is so hard, similar to these other maps, is you don't have a wonder weapon to carry you to high rounds, and you don't have traps. Eventually, you're just not going to have anything to kill the zombies with. The Scavenger's going to stop working, it's just going to take way too many shots to actually kill. The VR11 in solo basically doesn't do anything. You could rely on Matryoshkas, but you only have 3 before you need a max ammo. So basically it all comes down to killing George and trying to get the Wonder Waff to use that. But the Wonder Waff doesn't carry that much ammo, and eventually it's not even going to be able to take you through an entire round. So that is what makes Call of the Dead one of the hardest maps to get to high rounds in. Getting to early to mid rounds is very, very simple, but trying to get to high rounds, you just don't have the firepower to actually do it. Now, you could always take the million-year route with all these maps and just pack a punch of wall weapon and just sit there and shoot the zombies for days, but I would love to meet the man or woman, not trying to be sexist, who can actually finish like round 70 or something with only a wall weapon in Black Ops 1 or Black Ops 2. I would be very, very impressed if someone can actually do that, so that's a challenge to all you guys. Go do it. Or not. It's a free country. I wouldn't recommend doing it. It's virtually pointless. You're not going to gain anything. Your internet penis isn't going to get any larger or anything. Just don't do it. It'd be a waste of time. Call of Duty World War II is right around the corner. But saying that, that has been this top 5. Those are the most impossible. That's not even a correct grammar. I don't know. Is it most impossible? The impossible? Kim possible? I don't know. Something like that. Those are some impossible maps to get to high rounds in. Let me know what you think in the comments. And real quick, I want to say shout out to my Patreon supporters. You guys are sexy as all hell. In case you guys don't know what Patreon is, where have you been living? Under a rock or something? Because Patreon is pretty well known. But if you don't know what it is, real quick, you can pledge a certain amount each month and you get certain rewards depending on how much you pledged each month. You can always join and quit whenever you feel like it, and you get a bunch of cool rewards like videos early, extra content, and your name on my head. So if that does sound interesting to you, go ahead and check it out. Link will be in the description. And also go ahead and follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Discord. All those links will also be in the description. And last but not least, I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.